Our parents are only trying to deal with what they're dealing with in their own way. Yeah, we as kids tend to look at our parents and have a rule or a belief that says mom and dad had to be perfect. When a baby's born, it essentially exists in two states of brainwave, delta and theta. Delta is sleep, which is why babies sleep a lot, and theta is essentially unconscious programming. It's the state associated with hypnosis. Now what that means is that the prefrontal cortex, the frontal lobes, are not engaged or switched on. The prefrontal cortex is the reasoning part of the brain. It's the analytical, the logical, the questioning, the intelligent part of the brain that can sit back and say, hang on a minute. Now why would nature and evolution in its infinite wisdom have a child not engage the front part of its brain until around about 7 years old, when it hits kind of a brain puberty and then starts to develop the ability to get into alpha and beta and essentially develop conscious reasoning? Well, it seems perfectly obvious to me. They're not in a position where they're smart enough to have enough experience to make those decisions. So, you're 4 years old, 5 years old, you go to the toy store and daddy's there, you're holding daddy's hand and you see a toy or whatever, and or you're in the Walmart and you walk past the toy shelf and you're like, daddy, I want the toy. Now daddy's having a hard time. He's just had an argument with mum, they're having some rocky issues, he can't pay the gas bill, he's got redundancy threatening at work, he's scared about not being able to provide as a father because that threatens his identity, he's got his own stuff going on, right? And he's like, he can't afford a toy. Daddy, please can I have a toy? Now in the mind of the 5-year-old, all they see is the toy. Right, they want the toy. Wow, look, play, toy, me. But daddy's in a different world. He's like, listen, sorry, you can't have a toy right now. So, but daddy, I want a toy. Why? Because the child wants a toy. Please, I want a toy. Now in his frustration, because he's now getting embarrassed because the kid's causing a scene, he turns around and says, sir, I said you can't have a toy. You're not good. You don't deserve it. Now in that moment, what's happening? You've got complete openness to the unconscious programming and operating system of a kid, and you've just put in a program that says you don't deserve it. The experience of the child is now undeserving, unworthy, unlovable, not good enough. So that's unfortunately, a lot of the times when we're kids, we get all of these inputted programs from our parents without having the ability to question. The point to note here is that our parents are only trying to deal with what they're dealing with in their own way. We as kids tend to look at our parents and have a rule or a belief that says mom and dad had to be perfect, and therefore I'm screwed up because they didn't get the job done properly, which leads to the international epidemic of blaming our parents.